Hello guys, welcome back to another video by mykayaplus. I'm JP and together with me is Chunbei. And today's topic will revolve around something that we are afraid of and we know that it might come and hit us, right? So we're going to talk about inflation and stagflation, help you guys differentiate what could be the difference between the two of them, and then last but not least, how to take advantage in these kind of circumstances, which I personally think we are actually in such circumstances right now. So let's proceed. So of course, whatever we might be talking about is just personal opinions, although we might not be talking about stocks today, but whatever advice or whatever opinions are just personal, does not constrain you to do whatever you must need to do. Do your due diligence research before you actually take any or make any decisions. So let's proceed. So Chubing, how and what is inflation, and is it always bad in the sense of that?
Yeah, I think if for layman, basically how to understand inflation is basically the dollar that you can use to buy a coffee back then versus now is you need to use more and more dollar to get the same thing. So as simple as that, you need to use more dollar to buy the similar products. This is what basically inflation means. But of course, it can be good and it also can be bad. So that's why when we give an example that actually in certain circumstances, inflation can be good. So in normal time, where it averagely all the people are working hard and then the wages actually got increment all over the years, everything just going up. And of course, because the wages actually go up, the buying power is also increasing as well. For example, a small country that actually turn from agriculture centric go to more manufacturing, and then they manage to attract a lot of business from other country, and then of course overall the wealth actually increase. And of course, when they have more money because they get higher wage, they will actually put in more demand to the same products. And of course, in order for the product to sell it out, due to the huge demand, they also will actually refine the price of the goods and product to stay in competition. And of course, the logical next step is basically it will lead to inflation, which in this case should be a good inflation. And then, of course, on the other hand, which is something that is more related to us right now, is so-called the demand pull inflation. Uh, it's just like 2 3 years or 2 years ago, COVID actually happens. And actually, the whole world trying to mitigate with this issue by printing a lot of additional dollar to keep the economy running. So, in a very simple term, when there is more dollar in the whole market, what does it mean for the goods and services? Usually it remains the same in this case. So the same amount of product is still in the market, same amount of service still in the market. But because of more dollar being printed, people are getting cheap loan and so on. So they will actually go for the same products that they are interested in. And because of that, you have more dollar chasing against the same goods and products. It will also introduce inflation because more dollar for the same amount of goods and services. So this is the basically two inflation category that you can think of. It can be good and can be bad. But of course, other than that, it's quite straightforward. But currently, we are in a slightly more tricky scenario, which we'll call it as stagflation. Jupa maybe can take it through what stagflation actually means and how it actually impacts us.
Right. So thank you, Chunbing, for just briefly explaining the good side and bad side of inflation. So for stagflation, it's a little bit straightforward. Basically, it combines two words, which is stagnant and also inflation. So we talk about having growth and having inflation tagging along is a good thing. But when you have stagnant growth or declining growth, in this case, declining GDP, but you still have inflation going on, that means that something is really, really wrong somewhere else there. So in this kind of circumstances, you see declining GDP, you see a persisting high inflation, and then corporate earnings or your listed companies' earnings getting reduced. And then, of course, it also points towards a potential recession, which I think is currently the fear right now, if you are actually following the news, right? And of course, if that were to happen, it would affect not just people in the US or certain countries, but it would be a global phenomenon, and a lot of people will be triggered by higher employment as well. So this is basically the definition of stagflation. Nothing good about it. And one of the key ways to overcome stagflation or uncontrollable inflation is by the Feds or the central banks around the world by increasing the interest rates. So as what Junbing said just now, in a period of time back then where economies or countries around the world tried to ensure that economies stay afloat, stay alive, they actually injected a lot of liquidity. And then now that everything is back to normal, the surplus of the supply of money is actually wreaking havoc in terms of the inflation wise. So to tame it down or to control it, central banks around the world have to increase the interest rates. But of course, increasing interest rates can be good and can be bad also, right? Doing it too fast will also cause a recession, and doing it too slow also, letting inflation goes on, also might trigger a inflation. So this is just a very, very straightforward, basic understanding for you guys to understand. Of course, you want to take a deeper look at it, we do have an article and we will actually insert it into the description box. Right.
Yep.
So how do you actually go about it? And if an inflation or induced recession were to happen, what could you actually do, Chunbing, in this kind of potential scenario?
Actually, when we talk about all these things, we always try to back to the fundamentals and try to understand in this kind of situation, what is the asset that you can actually target. And then, of course, it depends on your risk appetite. Of course, you only have the same amount of money with you. You wanted to go for the better asset. But of course, I won't go into detail because we have a video that we have covered previously that what is the asset what to invest during recession time. So we'll put this link in the description, or you can see it on the top right hand corners to actually check out the videos.
Right. So I think that's about it. But personally, if I were to just pick one asset to invest, it will still be stocks, because you do not need a lot of money to start investing into stocks, right? You don't need down payment, you don't need to take on bank loan, you just need to take out the surplus savings that you have, money that you do not foresee yourself you need in the near term to mid term, and then invest them into good companies. And that is what actually is also our own personal strategy as well, right, Chunbing?
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So I hope that you find today's video on inflation, stagflation, the good side of inflation and also the bad side of inflation, find it meaningful and find it beneficial to your understanding. So inflation is not 100% bad, just that if it's out of control, it is actually a bad sign of something bad or even worse were to happen. Of course, if you find it beneficial, do share it with your friends and family, right? And also do subscribe to our channel, as it will help us to create similar videos to help educate the mass public on financial education and also investing. And of course, click on the like button and also leave a comment down below if you want us to cover other topics as well. And we'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.